Hi guys, this is my first commentary in about a month since my iPad 3 video. I just want to say thank you for all the people who viewed that video because it got like 600 views in a matter of days. So thanks for that. That was really good. But for this video, we're going to be talking about uh, building your own computer and what parts you need to get. I'm looking to build my own computer in the next year, so I've been doing some research on parts and stuff and the spec I want to get. But I also want to tell you how to find your own parts because it can be a bit difficult with compatibility, and you don't want to get it wrong because it can cost you a lot of money. So the first thing that we're going to start off with to with our parts is the processor or the CPU, which stands for the Central Processing Unit. Today we're going to be using Amazon because it's a really reliable service and you can get a decent price on it. So just as a round kind of site to be using. If you want to use something different which may be cheaper, that's fine. But start off with the processor. Just you can if you don't know what to search for at first, which if you're watching this video you probably don't, just type in processor. And the two main ones that you're going to be looking for are Intel and AMD. Um, and basically processors have these sockets, and we'll get onto them a bit later. But Intel have certain sockets that are compatible with certain motherboards, and the same with AMD. So with AMD, you have like AM3, AM2, AM1, etc. Whereas Intel sockets are a bit different. So as an example, we're going to be using the Intel i7 processor. That's an extremely good processor, good at extreme multitasking, so with really big programs and stuff like that. So just as an example, we're going to be using the Intel i7 2600K processor. It's quad core, and with all processors, you have to find out the socket, and the socket for this one is 1155. That's important because if you have with computers you have to choose the motherboard which goes with your processor. So your motherboard has to have an 1155 socket for Intel. So that's the first thing. And then if I open up a new tab, go back into Amazon. I do recommend using tabs when you're using it because you'll be able to like sort of break it up a bit easier. And the next thing that we're going to be looking for is the motherboard to go with your processor, because well, if you don't have a motherboard, you can't use your processor basically. Pretty common sense. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you type in 1155 and then motherboard. So your socket and then the motherboard, and yeah, the word mother. And basically, you can choose any motherboard with that has the socket that comes with your processor. So and with motherboards, you can choose. There's loads of different like things you can choose from, like whether it has a HDMI out kind of socket for your monitor, how many USBs it has. So you can be really flexible with your motherboards as long as you've chosen your processor first, which is the reason why I chose it first. So yeah. Also with motherboards, they have like micro ATX and ATX in different um sizes and stuff. So you have to make sure it fits with your case, which we'll get onto a bit later. So I'm gonna choose this one. This one's an Asus P8 Z68 VLX, and you can look at the images, see what it's got. It's got VGA out, HDMI out, USB 3.0 out, well, and USB 2.0, and the usual sound sockets and everything. So that's the motherboard that you can choose, and then onto the RAM or random access memory. Um, Open up a new tab, and then what you have to do is you have to look at your motherboard and see what RAM it takes. So this is usually something like DDR3 or DDR2 or something along those lines. You might be able to look at the specifications to see all of it. Nah. But yeah, if you go on the manufacturer's website, it should come up with RAM and what's compatible. So essentially, all you have to do is type in DDR3 RAM and then choose the size you want. For like computers, I would recommend having at least four, and it's really easy. If it's dual channel, then that goes with your motherboard. Then choose that. It's really simple with RAM. Just type in the DDR3, DDR2, whatever it is, and then see if it's dual channel or not. Okay, and to go with your motherboard, you need to get a case. So if you type in, if you remember the ATX thing, see here, that needs to be, it has to have an ATX case. So, and you can choose any case. Some are cheaper than others, some are more expensive, but some look really cool with these side panels and stuff. Generally, you can choose any case. Some might be easier to use than others because some stuff like snaps on and off, and you can just put it on and off, like vents and like where your DVD drive is housed and your hard drive. So you can choose any of them. They're all pretty good. I do recommend choosing one where it has good ventilation because the parts will get hot. Next thing you want to go with your case, if it doesn't have one already, is a power supply. Um, Power supplies just vary depending on your parts that you've chosen, but 500 watt is a decent round figure to go for. Anything above that is a bit extreme if you ask me. But you can have these modular ones, which mean you don't have all these wires hanging everywhere, and like this. You see, there's just a bunch of wires coming out of there. Or you can have like a modular one where you just plug the wires in as and when you need them. And you also need to get a hard drive. Hard drives are compatible with all motherboards. So and you have to type in internal. With big computers, I would recommend at least getting 500 gig because this will load your operating system and everything. I do recommend the Western Digital Caviar Blue 500 gig. And there's also different speeds of hard drive. So as it's mechanical, it spins at a different rate. So you have like, for example, the fastest one, 7,200 RPM. And there's other type of hard drive that you can use, which is solid state hard drives, and they are like the most recent things, hard drives. And basically they have no moving parts and they're really fast. I recommend choosing like a 60 gig one to load your operating system on, because then if your operating system gets a virus or something, you can just wipe it and then reload it onto the solid state drive and then use the mechanical drivers for all your files and everything. So two in tandem. Is there anything I've forgotten? Hard drive. Oh, you also might need to get a graphics card if your motherboard doesn't have graphics built in, or if you're perhaps building a gaming PC. You have to make sure with your motherboard that it have a slot to put the graphics card in, and those slots are PCI Express, as generally 2.0 is it's not the latest one, but it's what most use, and then it says X16, which is the type of PCI Express. So you have like X1, X16. I think you have an X8 as well. So yeah, if you type in your graphics card, I recommend choosing the HD one if you're decided to do gaming. And so some are really cheap, some are really expensive, but you're more or less flexible whichever one you choose, as long as it's compatible with the PCI Express slot. They're all generally X16 slots, so yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. There's always new ones coming out, like generally every week, because there's so many manufacturers building new ones. So you have plenty of choice to choose from. You might not even have to choose one because your motherboard has graphics built in. So that's another option. And yeah, I think that's about it. Um, yeah, you have to choose an operating system. Just type in Windows 7. You can just it comes in a disk format, I think, and you can choose 32 or 64-bit. So that's around 70 quid. But I would wait until Windows 8 comes out because that might be a lot better. You can't actually buy the Apple operating system iOS because they don't sell it, but you can download off the internet the software, and you'll be making something called a Hackintosh. So yeah, you could do that, or you could download Linux, which is free. So that's another alternative if you can't afford an operating system. Yeah, I think. Oh, and a DVD drive, pretty standard. Um, internal. Yeah, you can get really cheap ones. I mean, like some are like 10 quid, like this one. That's well, 12 quid there. So yeah, if you want a DVD drive, generally compatible with all motherboards, or you can have a Blu-ray drive. I think they tend to be a bit more expensive, but yeah, around £50 for a Blu-ray drive. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've watched it this long, and good luck with building your computers. Cheers.